Shalom. First and foremost, we'll say Kalam Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua B'Shem HaKakwadash. And double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone of the won't teach well. Honors to the best precious truth across the four corners. With all sincerity, there's a punny checking in with a new video. Lord, it be edifying and brief, to the point. I gotta get this video out, and then I gotta ship out yet again. Alright, so Isaiah 13:1, the burn of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Alright, well, Babylon. Not talking about ancient Babylon, I'm talking about America. Because you be further down, it speaks about, World War III. I believe it goes into the Besom of Destruction, Isaiah 13, which goes into the ICBMs, chariot laser beams. Alright, talks about Babylon being made like a desert. I believe Isaiah 13 also talks about the doleful creatures shall be left. So different scavenger type animals are going to be the only things that are going to be left here in this place after it's left the desert. After World War III, it's going to be completely destroyed during World War III, and then post World War III, the smoke come out, and it's just going to be left the desert. No one's going to dwell therein forever. It's just going to be a memorial, right, of the Lord's judgment, right? Just as the Most High destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, right, and those different cities around it. It'll be the same way. Let you have a banner upon the high mountain. The banner is the scriptures. That's what we lifting up. Right? That's what we bringing out. The words of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. The high mountain. Mountains represent governments. Like you have a summit hearing, top of mountains. Mountains represent governments. Exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand. Alright? Don't we exalt our voice? We got on highways and byways. Alright? Cry loud, spare not. Alright? We're not whispering. We speak up. Right? Shake the hand. What does it mean, shake the hand? To rebuke. Right? It doesn't mean like we're shaking hands with them. It's like we're shaking our hands. Rebuking this place sharply. This place is wicked. Going into the scriptures. Going into Habakkuk 2. Uncovering all this devil, man. This devil being exposed. Right? Different things. Soul within him is not upright. The accuser of our brethren being cast down. Right? Ezekiel 35, Ezekiel 36, many more, many more. Obadiah, right? Going into those type of things. Job, someone's in Job, right? The basis of men, right? A lot. Going to those type of things. They may go into the gate of the nobles, right? Because truth has reached the ears of the nobles. I remember the elders and the apostles, they have an account where they say that they were teaching, maybe I believe it was before YouTube, and a guy pulled up in a limo, Edomite guy, and pretty much just said, like, how did you guys find this out? We spent a lot of money trying to keep the secret. And then he got back in his car and drove away. Alright, so yes, truth has absolutely reached the ears of the nobles. Right? They spent a lot of money trying to keep this thing secret. However, all to the Lord, man, they can't keep a secret. Right? It's reached the ears of those select, man, of who the Lord wants to hear. The Lord has had this truth still spring out, and even to amongst the 2/3, amongst all the people, these people know about this truth. Right? So it's not, they haven't been successful in keeping it hidden. Right? Even though they try to have their little cronies and different guys out here, push false narratives against us, and try to discredit this truth, whether it be Christians or even, possibly some of these other guys, like maybe even was Genesis guys, but I think they call them those TCG ministries. Yeah, those guys, they looking like they sold out, but yeah, even with that, right? The Lord is dealing with you. He's dealing with you. He's gonna have you listen to these other groups, right? No one can. There's no scripture. No one can pull you away from the Lord. There's a scripture that goes like that, but not death, famine, or can ever rip you away from the Lord. If the Lord chose you, He chose you. All right, so, but yeah, this truth is going into the gates of nobles. All right, so I'm just gonna get one more. All right, so this is the book of, see at 1916. In that day shall Egypt be like unto a woman, and she be afraid of the fear, because the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which He shaketh over it. Right, yeah. In that day shall Egypt be like unto a woman. Right, so America is also Egypt. When you read Revelation 11, their body shall lay in the great city. It's also called Sodom, Egypt, Egypt, Sodom, Egypt and Sodom, I think it says. But no, it says Egypt, right? But it's also Sodom. It's also like unto Sodom as well, right? Because it's kind of obvious. But yeah, so Egypt like unto woman. Right? Talking about America. When you read further on, it goes to things like the cruel Pharaoh, his presence and different things like that. All right, it's talking about America. America also follows the way of Egypt. They have that the obelisk out there in it might be Central Park or something. All right, and yeah, and that's that feminine vibration. It's coming on now, man. All right, you should be afraid and fear, because it's shaking of the Lord of hosts. She shaketh over it. Yeah, man. All right, and that's what's happening right now. And shaking the Lord of hosts. These prophecies coming out, and the Lord sent up His men, starting with the elders and the apostles, on down to the men in great millstone, breaking down these prophecies and rebuking this place, man. And these people, they can't handle it. They don't know what's going on, man. All right, and things are only gonna get worse. Right, it's only gonna get worse from here. So that should be a wake up call, man. You gotta get this truth while you can still get it. But it's been pushing out. The King James Bible online was hacked. So it's real easy for them to remove these Bible sites, to remove our videos and things like that when that time comes, and for this truth to not be able to be accessed on the internet anymore. And then you try to look for the men in person, they most 8 and 10, and they're not going to be there because family of the word, Jacob's trouble is already in full swing. You're too late. All right. So yeah, with that be that, Lord, and edify. Say shalom.